religion be? And he also says, reduce the other religion A to ashes. That's my wish. The angel is so depressed now. Finally, he goes to the leader of religion C in the hope that let me see, at least that fellow will have some sense. You know what he says? I have no wish for myself. My only wish is, please grant the wishes of both of these leaders. So, the more, spiritual, the following of spiritual practices is relatively easy. But to get this unity, to get this oneness is the most difficult. It never comes off. And yet, if you are able to get it, the payoff is enormous. How do you get it? When you identify with your body, you see maximum separateness. Even among the family members, the bodies are separate, so you see separateness. Identify with your mind and you get some relief. Even though physically we are all separate, you see a oneness among the people that you consider your family. Identify with your intellect and your area of oneness expands still further to include, let's say, all your countrymen or all your community members or all, sometimes professional, like musicians feel this oneness among musicians, artists feel oneness among artists, so on and so forth. Identify with Atman and all differences and demarcations vanish. So this is what he's saying. So what happens is, when you are, then the next thing that he says is not tarnished even while acting. So when you are selfish, when your actions are driven by selfish desires, you accumulate negative vasanas. You accumulate more such selfish vasanas. You understand, vasanas and desires are, as far as you're concerned, take it as synonyms. The only difference between the two is, desire is already manifest in your mind, you are aware of it. Vasana is unmanifest desire. Okay? When you perform unselfish actions are actions driven by positive desires. So what happens? You accumulate positive vasanas. When you perform selfless actions, you don't accumulate any vasanas, because such selfless actions are not driven by desire, they are driven by what? Obligatory duty, karyam karma. So you don't accumulate vasanas at all. And a jnani is one who, though acting, is not tarnished, because the action does not rebound and create one more vasana in his system. The next two verses are taken together, verses 8 and 9. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavid pashyan shrunvan sprishan jighan ashan gachan swapan shvasan pralapan visrujan grunhan Unmishan nimishannapi indriyani indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. These two verses describe a jnani's approach to action. What he says is, the united one, the knower of truth, tattvavit, should think, I do nothing at all while seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, going, sleeping, breathing. I'll explain what it is. Then in 9 he continues, breathing, speaking, letting go, grasping, opening and shutting the eyes, maintaining that the senses operate with the sense objects. So what is happening here is, in the first 7 verses, he describes the yogi, sannyasi and jnani. That's the first topic. The second topic deals with their approach to action, verses 8 to 12. So 8 and 9 deal with a jnani's approach to action, 10 deals with a sannyasi's approach to action, 11 deals with a yogi's approach to action. This is a brilliant piece. Every one of us must try and get to this stage of a jnani. So what he's saying here is basically a jnani is one who understands the clear difference between Atman and your material layers. You and I are an amalgam of spirit and matter. And because we have formed this amalgam, it is difficult for the lay person, the ordinary person, you and me, to distinguish what is spirit. Where does spirit end and where does matter begin? Or vice versa. Where does matter end and where does spirit begin? What is the role of Atman in our life? What is the role of body, mind and intellect in our life? So what he says is, let's take all that he says. He covers all activities. Any activity that a human being can perform, he enlists that. For instance, he says Gachan, going, which means the waking state. Swapan, dream, includes dream and deep sleep. So he, in 2 words, he covers your entire life's experiences. All of us go through 3 states of experience: waking, dream and deep sleep. So all of this is covered. Then he says Pashyan, Shrunvan, Sprushan, Jigran. Seeing, hearing, touching, smelling. He covers all your organs of perception, all your transactions with the world. The world enters you through your 5 senses. All of this is covered. Then he says Shvasan, breathing, Pranamaya Kosha is covered. The pranas, the involuntary actions are covered. Then he goes on to Pralapan, Visrujan, Grunhan. Speaking, letting go, grasping includes all the organs of action. Unmishan, opening the eyes, is external activities. Nimishan, shutting the eyes, internal activities. So what he's saying here is, while the sense organs, your internal organs, the mind and the intellect are transacting with the world, a jnani maintains this thought, this perception, this conviction right through, that I am not doing anything, because he has merged with Atman. Atman is not doing anything. Atman simply enlivens all activities, facilitates all activities. You have to get back to an example to understand what it is. Electricity is that which enlivens all electrical gadgets, enables all electrical gadgets to function. So when electricity functions through a bulb, it produces light. Electricity functions through a refrigerator, it cools, it refrigerates. Functioning through an air conditioner, it cools the air. Same electricity functioning through a heater creates heat. Electricity in a geyser gives hot water. Electricity in a computer gives artificial intelligence. So it is the same. An electrical engineer is one who understands clearly the difference between electricity and the electrical gadget. So when the equipment through which the electricity functions falters or it does not work, the electrical engineer does not get upset, because he understands electricity is there. What has gone? The gadget has gone. Similarly, a jnani is one who has merged with Atman, and he understands that Atman is functioning through every activity of his, and that he is Atman, I am Atman. And while all these functions are carrying on, he maintains the thought that I have nothing to do with it. I do nothing at all. Naiva kinchit karomi. I don't do anything. Then what's happening? The senses, the sense organs are operating among the sense objects. That's all there is. So what is it that he maintains in life is, again let's take an example. Tattvavit means he is the knower of truth. What truth does he know? It's like when an actor goes through different roles, plays different roles, he knows, let's say, in one movie, he plays the role of a very noble person. In another movie, he plays the role of a deaf mute. In a third movie, he plays the role of a psychotic killer. As he's playing these roles, he plays them to the best of his ability, so much so that when he's playing the role of a deaf mute, you actually believe that he is deaf mute when you're watching the movie. When he's playing the role of a psychotic killer, you are jumping out of your skin every few minutes. But he understands that he is the actor playing the roles, and therefore none of these roles impacts on his life. It's not as if he plays the role of a psychotic killer and becomes a killer. It's not that as if he plays the role of a very noble person, who's the actor who played the role of Gandhiji, Ben Kingsley. He plays the role magnificently, but Gandhiji's character doesn't get into him. They're two completely different things. So he maintains that I am the actor going through different roles. Another example that gets the message across is a screen. When you project a movie on a screen, there may be different things that you're projecting. Once you may be projecting a great flood. The screen doesn't become wet. The next movie that you project is a great fire. The temperature of the screen doesn't increase by even 1 degree centigrade. And the third is a horror movie with this blood flowing all over the place. The screen does not get stained by that blood. Similarly, you and I, every one of us is Atman. And when you go through these roles, whatever role it is that you're playing in the world, you should remain untainted, unaffected, exactly like the screen, exactly like the actor. But that's not what happens to us. In every experience that we go through, what happens? You get affected, you get tainted, you get mixed up in it and engaged in it in such a way that you mess up the whole thing. So in giving us this vision of how a jnani operates, you see the basic difference is a jnani has the freedom to operate with the body, mind and intellect when he chooses, and at other times to withdraw into the realm of Atman. You and I have denied ourselves access to the Atman. So what happens? We're stuck with the body, mind and intellect. And since the body, mind and intellect is all that we know, we believe that life is all this. It never crosses our mind that there is a huge avenue beyond the body, mind and intellect that we are heir to. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate na sapapena padmapatamivamhasa. Now comes the sannyasi, a person who hasn't yet got to the state of a jnani state yet. What does he do? Brahmani adhaya, one who dedicates his actions to Brahman. Sangam tyaktva karoti yaha, whose actions are free from attachment, without attachment. Such a person, lipyate na sapapena, is not tarnished by sin. And then he gives a brilliant example, padma patram ivambhasa, like a lotus leaf in water. The lotus leaf is called pankaja. Pankaja literally means that which is born in mud. So what he's saying here is, a sannyasi is one who is in the world and yet he has a clear vision of the goal of truth, of realization, of Brahman, and therefore everything that he does is dedicated to getting to Brahman. You know, if forget Brahman, any goal that you have, any goal that you fix that is beyond your selfish, self-centered interest, and if you focus on that goal and dedicate all your activities towards getting there, you become a role model instantly. What miracles come out of such a person? All you have to do is just focus, dedicate. anything that you dedicate to. Right here, I'm staying here, and the person who comes to clean the room, the first time that the first day here, I was completely swept off my feet because he did it so magnificently. Every little detail was gone into. I in fact went and congratulated him. I said, I've never entered a room that has been cleaned, and it was absolutely spick and span. And yet what is he doing? He's just cleaning a room. Dedication. You see dedication in any field of activity and you are swept off your feet, you're most impressed. By the same token, you don't see dedication and it is ugly. It puts you off completely. So why don't we get in? It's so easy. Brahmani adhaya is difficult. But a limited goal, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with, can you not fix a goal beyond your selfish interests and dedicate your actions to that? Brahmani adhaya is not interested in anything else, it's just Brahman. Sangam tyaktva, automatically such a person will get detached because he has got attached to Brahman. All his thinking, all his thoughts are invested in getting to Brahman. He is detached from everything else. It doesn't matter to him, like Hanuman. Hanuman was a person who was so focused on Rama that even after the Ramayana, when there was a celebration and people were congratulating each other, they honored him for the role that he played. And he was garlanded, he was given a garland of precious gems. He took it out, put it to his ear, it did not say Rama, he threw it. This is a sannyasi, Brahmani adhaya. He's anchored in the higher and functions in the world. Such a person is like a lotus leaf in water. He's not tainted by anything that goes on in the world. He lives like a lotus leaf. A lotus leaf is born in the mud, lives in the mud, and dies in it. Yet, right through its existence, it's untouched by the mud, unaffected by the mud. Why? Because it has a greasy surface. And this greasy surface insulates the leaf from the mud. Similarly, friends, when you and I live in the world, we are born in this world of finitude, of sorrow, of limitation. And we live in this world, we die in this world. But if you acquire this insulation, and this insulation is provided by the Bhagavad Gita, insulation is provided by Vedanta, then you sail through your experiences in life untouched by any of the happenings in the world, both positive and negative, because you are established in the higher, you are focused on getting there. Brahmani adhaya, it's a magnificent verse. And look at the difference, he's put it beautifully. Jnani is one who maintains, even while he's acting in the world, while he's transacting in the world, he maintains, I do nothing at all. He's established in the truth. A sannyasi is one who's one step, one notch below that. He's not yet reached there, but his vision of the truth is clear. And he says, whatever I do or not do, I'm geared towards getting there, and he gets there. And what about the yogi? Let's see, verse 11. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindriyairapi yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva shuddhaye. Look at the difference. In verse 10, it starts with Brahmani, the first word of verse Brahmana. Here, the first word is Kayena, means body. So, a yogi is still very much body conscious. But he acts with the senses, body, mind and intellect, only for self-purification. Even that is enough to get you out of this mess. And because he's acting for self-purification, he relinquishes attachment. You see, the other difference that he shows is in verses 8, 9 and 10, he speaks of the jnani and the sannyasi in singular. Yaha. Yaha means he who, whoever it is, who meets with these qualifications is a jnani or a sannyasi. But here he uses the plural. Yoginaha means there are many, many yogis. So in this subtle use of grammar, he communicates that a jnani and a sannyasi is a rare specimen of humanity. And if you come across such a person, hang on to him. Hang on to him doesn't mean hang on to him physically. Give him his due. The problem in the modern life is we become so crass and so materialistic that anybody who doesn't have billions after him is of no value to. But the most important, the most precious specimen of humanity, a jnani and a sannyasi, you completely miss because you don't have the eyes to see it. Yaha pashyati saha pashyati. Develop this vision. Develop the capacity to spot the intangible assets in a person and respect him for that. One of the outstanding qualities in the United States is their ability to spot talent, to spot potential, and then they go all out. In this day and age when it is so difficult to get a visa, much more difficult to get a green card and citizenship, if they spot a brilliant person anywhere in the world, they grab him. We are just the opposite. We allow such people to go. We have no value for it. We have no. You see, what you need to understand is a jnani and a sannyasi, a brahmana. Brahmana means a highly sattvic individual, is someone to be nurtured, to be nourished, because these are the people who have lasting benefit to humanity, and these are the people we unfortunately let go. And who do we hang on to? Ordinary people. And therefore we're becoming an ordinary society. Where are the extraordinary people? They are there, but we don't recognize them, we don't take help from them, we don't follow them. So the yogis, their thoughts are still of the world. So they act in the world. They are engaged in the world, but they act only for self-purification. Even this makes a huge difference. Whatever it is that you do it for self-purification, and the results, it's like things fall in place. Everything happens to your benefit. Whereas if you're a bhogi, you're working for yourself, you've come across all kinds of obstacles in life. In the poem called The Pineapple and the Bee, he says that. He says, there's always this cruel glass that stands between you and the object of desire in a bhogi's life. And that glass will never be transcended unless you turn unselfish. So, what is a person's vision of life? A yogi's vision of truth is opaque. It's like with cataract in your eyes, what can you see? You can't see very much. A sannyasi is like seeing through glass. A man that looks on glass, on it may stay his eye, or if he chooseth, through it pass, and then the heaven espy. The sheet of glass, transparent glass, is there only for you to look through it and see the heaven beyond it. Similarly, the world is there for you to not get entangled in it, not remain there, but look through it, and then you see the Brahman, Atman beyond it. A sannyasi is one whose glass is translucent. A jnani is one where the glass is completely transparent. Have you seen sheets of glass which are so transparent that you go right through it? Jnani's perception of the world is that he sees the same world that you and I see. So he sees finitude, but in and through that he sees infinity. With this, we come to the end of today's session.